Hi, Guilherme here. I help engineers to be high-performing project managers. And the content I'm sharing here today is part of the warm-up for the Project Management Week that's going to happen from 23rd of January to 27th of January. If you're interested in that, click in the link here in the description, subscribe for free. Today, I'm going to talk about international career. This is a question that I get quite often also asking about how to build an international career, how you can do that, which actions you should take, how you to where you start to look. Well, first of all, I'm going to share a bit of my experience and then some things I think you can do to start all of that. Well, first to build to create an international career, it's usually it's not a straightforward path. What do I mean by that? It's not something that you're going to plan and things will move exactly as you plan it. You are going to need to adapt, you are going to need to have resilience. It will take a trial and error. You're going to look for different places, but for sure, there are some of those things that you need to prepare up front. When I start to look for my international career, uh, long time ago, I decided to have. I was already thinking on moving and living abroad, and at some point I say, okay, I took the decision. Say I want to have an international career, and of course, at that point, I take that decision. It took me also few years until I could prepare some stuff until when I really moved out from the country. For me, it was like I was trying different ways. I was trying to have a transfer for the company I was working on at the time. I was looking for MBA options, and then of course, I was looking for job positions. In the end, what made me move was my girlfriend at that time. Today, she's my wife. That she moved to the US for to work there. And at this point, I decided, okay, I've been thinking and taking some actions for doing that for a few years. Now, I think I thought that was a sign of destiny. I decided to take a leap of faith and I moved to the US with her. I quit my job in Brazil and moved to the US with her without having something already arranged for me there. Of course, there was a lot of things that I had to adapt. If I would have if I would try to do it again, I would like to find someone to help me, someone that went already through this experience to advise me in how to do that. But anyway, I decided to do it by myself. And of course, in the beginning, I struggled with several things, like I did not know how to prepare a CV. Um, my English at the point, honestly, it could have been better. It would help me, and but so be it. And I end up working in the US as a freelancer for some small projects. Then I end up also starting an MBA process. I got a scholarship. Then I moved to the Netherlands, did an MBA here. During the MBA, I got a job offer, and I end up staying here. That's a very short about everything that happened. Why I'm saying that? Because I just want to make some points here in the story. At the time, I remember that I took the decision or moving for an international career was probably about 2014. I was on a holiday outside of the country. I believe I was in the New Zealand. I had some time off. I was alone, and I decided to think it. And at this point, I say, okay, I want to do that. Let's move to do that. But some of those things that I start to prepare. Well, first, of course, I was always I would say at least conscious about my finance situation. Then I was always trying to save money to have some reserve because I was always thinking, or maybe I'm going to move abroad and I'm going to have a reserve, or a reserve can always help me in my career if I decide to take an MBA outside, or even if the worst happen, I lose my job, I have some reserves and I can support myself for a while. Then, of course, I had some reserves already because I was already working as an engineer and later on as a project manager for a few years. But when I took that decision, I say, okay, then I need to start to work to have more focus and increase those reserves. That was something there. And then other things at this point, I already had my PMP, and the PMP itself was also part of this possible plan to plan for an international career because, of course, having a good certification in project management will also help me in Brazil, would also help me in whatever I want to do in Brazil. But I thought I'd say if I want to move abroad, having a certification that is recognized globally, yeah, that's a good help, I would say. And then, of course, I was not fully sure in which country I was going to end up. I ended up going to the US because my girlfriend she was there, but job possibilities there, even though I worked as a freelancer, was not the best type of work, and the other job possibilities there they were not as good or as feasible as I would like to be at that situation at that stage. And of course, in parallel, I had the MBA application and so on. But then, if you look back, if you want to pursue an international career, something for sure I'm going to advise you create and have a financial reserve. Why? Even though if you get a job, if a company say I'm going to pay you to move to this country, yeah, the company they are going to give you some help in the moving process, but I can guarantee to you that will be a lot of expenses. Then you need to have some savings there. Second, when you think about your CV, you need to start to look for things that can be recognizable internationally. In my case, I did an engineering degree, but it was in a university that's well known in Brazil. But outside of the country, no one would know this university. And then having a certification like PMP would help me a lot because then people say, "Oh, you work as a project manager in Brazil. Oh, but you also have a PMP." That one we know. Even though I was working in a company in Brazil, that I most people would know that's Toshiba Corporation. I guess you've already used some of their equipments. Then, like, if you work in a company that's has a well recognized name that help you if you have a certification. It can be PMP or it can be Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, or it can be any other agile certification that you have there, maybe safe or there's all types of certification there. Then having a certification, if you already have experience as a project manager, helps. Other thing that's important that you think up front, it's shortlist some countries because I did this mistake myself. I kind of start to look basically everywhere, and you split your focus too much because what happened in the end, you're not going to have or chances that you have in some countries are higher than in others. I can tell you, for example, if you want to live in Germany, you need to speak German. Then or not mandatory, but it will be really hard to live in Germany without speaking German, or even it will be much more difficult to find a job in Germany without speaking German. Then, if you don't speak German, probably you should not think about Germany. Or if you really want to move to Germany, yeah, you need to start to learn German. And can be the same thing about France, same thing about Spain, same thing about Italy. Well, if you say I want to move to the UK, to the US, or to Canada, okay, then you speak English, then it's good. Then you already have the language. Then having the company again, having a certification that will improve your CV, and having your financial cushion there that could support you for a time and help you in the moving that would be possible. Because when you think about moving for an international career, you basically have few options. Also, in my case, I'm Brazilian. Then I cannot live in Europe without having a sponsorship. Then for me, just moving to Europe and say I'm going to find a job here, that was not really feasible. Well, in the US, I could stay there for legally for 6 months, and that's what I did. And after that, I had to leave the country. I was already leaving for the MBA anyway, but I had some different possibilities. But you need to look for visa programs. For example, Canada has a visa program, and more qualified you are, faster it's your chances to get a visa to go there and find a job. But there are also other countries like in the Netherlands. They also have a program for high skilled immigrants that might be another way. Then you basically, if you have a visa, you can go to the country and try to find a job there. That makes things easier because usually companies they want to know you or they want to have a face-to-face interview to you, mainly if they need, and if they need to bring you from another continent, that is not very handy. Even if it's a faraway country, that also not very useful. And other things that you can do. So you also can do, like, you can go for an MBA if that's something that you like to pursue. You can go for a master, you can go for a PhD. Then going there, of course, you're already improving your qualification just by doing an extra degree, of course, and you are sharpening your skills. Then basically you are leaving the country. Then you get to know if you like the country or not. You get to know more about the culture of the country. Some countries like the Netherlands, if you do MBA here or a master, you have something that's called search visa. That means that after you've complete your course, you have another year, you have visa for another year to find a job here. Then you can stay legally to find a job and even start working this period, which also help. Then there are several possibilities there that you can look for that. Well, what's really important is that if you want to go for an international career, as I mentioned, it's important that you start to shortlist some things. Because if you keep looking, the world is too big. If you keep looking for 10 different countries, you don't have focus in what you're doing. Then shortlist three or four. Create a financial cushion. Try to improve your CV already where you are. Doing training, doing certifications, look for something that uh, can upskill you. Like if you work for a company for a period, like if you work for Apple, well, even though it's not in that country, everyone will know Apple. Then that's kind of help you to brand your CV, and all those things will help you in the move. Then you also can decide to do an MBA, or you also can decide to apply for things from outside, which is not easy, but I can tell you that happen, that companies are hiring people from other countries. I've seen that with a lot of people, that companies bringing people from Brazil, Costa Rica, Mexico, and other countries also in South America. I've seen people bring companies bringing people from India, but the point is usually to get to a point that a company will bring you from another country, you need to have a good profile, a good CV. You need to have qualification, you need to have experience. Then if you are at the point that you don't have experience, likely the shortest and easiest path is to go for maybe an MBA or for a master, because once you are there, everything is easier and everything you have much higher chance to perform there. And with project management, of course, if you want to develop a career, international career with project management, it will help you to make sure that you first you develop, you have knowledge on different frameworks. You can prove that you have some experience with that. You can also develop, look for also your transferable skills that will help you. There's a lot of things that you can start to learn that should be a low-hanging fruit, like learning how to use Excel, learning PowerPoint, MS Project, those kinds of things that they are usually simpler, but all those kinds of things help you to build a CV for either case. If you are If you already have a good profile, enhancing it will help you, of course. But also, if you have no experience, those kinds of things will start to count. Because if you are applying for a junior position, they are not really looking for experience. They are going to look for your attitude, maybe for your background, your graduation, and plus some other skills. Like if you are going to work as an analyst, if you know Excel, that's something that will help you in this journey. Then make sure that you already take a look on positions from the countries that you are looking for. You can know names of companies. There are even some countries like in the Netherlands, they have an official list from the government for all the companies that can sponsor visas in the country. That already helps because if you have a list of companies, you can try to look for those companies. Yeah, this company does work for me, this company will not work for me. I see a position here, and all those kinds of things will start to build up. And the most important thing that sometimes it can be really fast because I've seen people that they got an interview and in I believe in 3 4 months the company paid them to bring them to Europe from a different country. But like in my case, it took me years with different types of preparation, but because of not only on preparation, because I also had some lack of clarity. That's also what I mentioned that dividing the attention for a lot of things will not help you. So be prepared there, start preparing for it. Be prepared that it can be a longer journey than you expect. I've seen people taking years to get to a point that they reach that there and they can get like a good job position, start to develop a good life. But it can be short. But you never know what's going to happen. So important that you start to prepare where you are and you start to take the actions. But more important, be resilient in the process. Keep learning about the country. Maybe if you need to learn a language, keep saving money, that for sure will help you, and keep working your skills. Already where you are, don't forget that because I've seen a lot of people when they also talk about project management, they say, but I don't have where to start learning. Yeah, you can start learning project management in the company that you are working right now. You just need to look for the right things and you need to have the right guidance there. Because with that, for sure, you're going to learn project management because there are several items, for example, finance, that's very important skill in project management. I'm pretty 100% sure that all the companies in the world, they talk about finance. Then you just need to learn where to look for that. If you like that content, click in the button like here and share with other people. As I mentioned, this is a content part of the warm up for the Project Management Week that's going to happen from 23rd of January to 27th of January. If you're interested on that, click in the link here in the description and subscribe for free. Hopefully, I'm going to see you there. Thank you. Bye.